everyone, welcome to the Science of Spelling and Reading. We'll be talking about this sound today in initial and medial positions. Again, if you've watched any of my other videos, I use these cards. There are just reminder cards for the spelling rules that I will be teaching in the consonant section. And these are all the consonants that share different spellings. So the consonant sounds that share spellings, like today what we'll be talking about, where C also has borrowed this sound, K and C share a common sound. These cards are found in my TPT store. They are called reminder cards, reminder spelling rule cards, and they're just $3 in my TPT store. So I will give the kiddos this. I will put this on their ring, and they will have it on their desk while we are teaching this page today for this sound. Another resource that I use is Miss Barlow's phonics stories. These are excellent phonics stories for kids to connect the sound and the letter. And so the kids, especially, I would say pre-K through second grade, it would be perfect for. However, I read them and my kids want them and ask for them all the way through fourth grade. So they love them. And so I would be reading this story today to my students, which would be Confident C Goes Looking for Another Sound. Talks all about how C got the S sound and why he uses it. So excellent connection to use. So starting in the student notebook, I will just guide the students through their page. Their page already has a lot of this written on. They're going to fill in the sounds and the letters. So at the top you'll see something like this. This is a sound bubble. We put the letter that owns that sound there. We consider this a sound. So this is not S, okay, throughout the entire page. So we start with initial. You'll have initial, medial, and final eventually, but we'll start with initial. Initial is spelled, and we'll start with S because S owns this sound, and we're going to see and hear this sound spelled S more often than we will the C. So S comes first. Just like with the other science or spelling notebook pages, we will write the letter and then we will come up with a word. So like sock, and then we'll unblend, sock, and we'll spell S-O-C-K. You may need to review CK again. You will have already talked about this on the K page for final position. You may have to talk about that again. Go back into, they could flip back in their card. This will just teach them how to, kind of go back in and use these cards to help them and to remind them what the final, when do I use final CK? What spelling am I going to use, prior to coming up with that. So that's a good opportunity there, and you always want to take those opportunities to help the kiddos remember their rules. Okay, then it's still an initial position. This sound can also be spelled with C. We have a rule for that. They look down at their reminder card to remember the rule. C says before E, I, or Y. Let's write that down right on our spelling notebook. C before E, I, Y. And then we brainstorm a word like city, which would be, I believe, or cyst I have in the teacher notebook, but city would be one that would allow you to talk about some things that is 2 syllables, so that's kind of fun to help them spell that in syllable form. So city, it, E, and you can talk about vowel Y and final position, which you've already talked about in the vowel section of the student notebook, and then you will spell the word and write it down, okay, for the kids, and they can underline these words too, to kind of separate everything, okay. Now, the kids are going to move down to the medial section, and basically they're writing the same thing. So that I don't have so much verbiage up here on the board and it gets confusing, I just write an M right there. I erase the words in initial position. And we're gonna come up with new words. Okay, so in middle positions is spelled S, and this might be a word like fast. Unblend it. Anything that you need to talk about within the word that you come up with, go ahead and take the opportunity to talk about it. Then in medial positions can also be spelled C. They're gonna write the rule out again. This one can be kind of tricky because it does happen in two-syllable words sometimes, but for the young ones, maybe princess would be a good word. And you would go through, you could either just go ahead and give it to them, or you could, sound it out depending on their age, and then, point out where that S is and what it's, or where the C, and what it's following, and is that gonna work? Does that follow the rules? Do we hear it? We see it, but we also need to hear it. It's important to pull out the sound in those words. So you can come up with whatever word might be appropriate for